Carrying on from yesterday's story then, Luke 8:49 to 56. While Jesus was still speaking, remember he was in the crowd and he'd just healed a woman, or she'd been healed by touching his cloak. Someone came out from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader, so they must have been quite close to Jairus' house. Imagine him. "Your daughter's dead." He said, "Don't bother the teacher anymore." Hearing this, Jesus said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just believe and she will be healed." And when Jesus arrived at the house of Jairus, he did not let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's father and mother. Meanwhile, all the people were wailing and mourning for her. "Stop wailing," Jesus said. "She's not dead but asleep." And they laughed at him, ha ha ha, knowing that she was dead. But he took her by the hand and said, "Talitha Koum," "My child, get up." Her spirit returned to her, and at once she stood up. Then Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were astonished, but he ordered them not to tell anyone what had happened. Remember Jairus? So he was panicking, I would think, because although Jesus had agreed to come with him, he'd stopped to spend time with a woman who had touched the tassels on his prayer shawl. Imagine how gutted Jairus must have felt when at that moment people said, "Nah, too late, don't bother the teacher anymore." I kind of love that. They're pretending to have Jesus' best interests at heart. He's too busy, don't worry him anymore. But in reality, they want to kick off the mourning process. They've probably paid for it. They're probably professional mourners, wailing and mourning for the girl, how sad she's died. Jesus can't stand any of this. So he kicks everyone else out of the house, even many of his followers. No crowd, no mourners. He probably posted a couple of disciples at the gate of the house to stop people trying to get in. And then he took his 3 closest disciples, Simon Peter, John and James, along with him, and Jairus and his wife. Talitha Koum, that's Aramaic for "my child, get up." And her spirit returned. The voice that created the sun and moon told her to awake. But Jesus, interestingly, is immediately practical. Give her something to eat, because the people would have been so overjoyed, and let's face it, gobsmacked, that they might have overlooked that simple detail. She'd been ill for a while and probably he hadn't eaten for days or even weeks. So Jesus says, "Come on, give her something to eat. Feed her." He also says, "Don't tell anyone else what happened." But he wanted to wait a little longer because such news would create a showdown with the religious leaders who didn't care about people being raised from the dead or people being healed or people's lives being transformed. But Jesus knew it wasn't time yet for such a showdown. That time would come soon enough.